This is Paul with Make Use Of, and today I'm checking out a new wireless audio solution that is probably going to be replacing two major parts of my existing kit. If you're looking for a no-compromise wireless microphone solution that gives you peace of mind and has a bunch of convenience and additional features that makes recording wireless audio a breeze, then Rode's Wireless Go 2 should be at the top of your list. With its updated model, the Rode Wireless Go 2 introduces as well as improves upon a lot of previous features. Compared to all the previous audio setups I've used in the past, both wireless and non-wireless, this has been the easiest and quickest to set up in order to get audio reliably recorded. For me, the biggest upgrade is that these transmitters now have internal memory, allowing me to record directly into them and save files. And even though I have the receiver on, this isn't plugged into anything. All this audio they've been hearing up until this point is all internally recorded. No additional connectivity or setup required. One of the biggest updates from the previous model is the range, which is now at 200 meters, more than double the 70 meters of the previous generation. And that is with line of sight, of course.
Where these really shine is their ability to do, to record obviously from a long distance. And now I'm gonna actually pretend like I'm talking into the camera and I have an idea where it is. You're over there, aren't you?
They've also added dual channel recording, and so with the new second transmitter, I can have a completely second audio source recording either internally or also feeding directly into the receiver for either a dual mono channel or a single stereo channel mix. And while the internal recording is probably going to be used more of a backup feature, I found it so useful that if I'm working on a project where I have the time to just sync audio really quickly in post, it's actually a little bit more convenient at times. In just a bit, I'm going to be mounting the receiver on top of the Sony a7S III, which is the portion of the video that you're seeing right now, feeding into it with the TRS cable that came with it, so you can hear if there's any difference in audio quality between what you're listening to right now and it feeding directly into the camera going wirelessly, as well as noticing if there is any audio interference that is being picked up. And so with the updates over the previous model, as well as the new features that they've introduced, the Rode Wireless Go 2 is an extremely versatile tool for recording audio wirelessly on the go. Throughout this review, I'll be focusing on three key points which I think support that, which include its various recording modes, its connectivity options, as well as its range and overall reliability. A lot of these new features are heavily reliant on its new app, Rode Central, which I'll be briefly covering towards the end of the video, telling you some of the things that it does really great, as well as some of its quirks that they're still ironing out. Now for this next portion of the video, you're going to be hearing the audio wirelessly transmitted to the Sony a7S III. Included in your main kit, you have the one receiver, which is on the Sony a7S III, as well as the two transmitters. They're all the same size. They all have clips on the back for easy mounting to the more obvious like shirts, collars, back pockets, but they also double as cold shoe mounts so they can easily mount to the top of your camera too and other similar devices. If you look at their red TRS cable, it's actually a pretty good fidget toy. But beyond that, the flexibility and its ability to actually hold shapes, having a very bendy cable like this can either help prevent it from being in your shot or wrap around and plug in such a way that it helps you maintain a more secure connection. You also get three USB-A to USB Type-C cables which support charging, data transfer, as well as live recording and monitoring for supported devices like computers. And specially designed to fit over your transmitter's microphone are wind muffs. You have three of them. These are great for reducing low frequency sounds like wind usually, but more importantly than that, they have a specially designed end which actually twists on, and no matter how hard I pull, this is going to stay on pretty well. I think it's great that they actually include a third one in case you lose one of the two. That's actually pretty thoughtful. And lastly, we have that soft carrying case. It does fit your two transmitters, one receiver, and a couple of your extra wires. And while snug, it's actually kind of tight. And the one concern that I have about it is, I think if they made it just slightly larger and added a couple dividers inside, because as you can see here, it's just one large open pocket, I think it would have allowed for the devices to fit in to a corresponding special spot for them, be a little bit more secure and protected from the other devices bumping against them. Despite the fact that this is soft and flexible, I think it provides ample protection from outside external forces, so accidental drops and bumps. It's actually what's inside it bumping against each other that I'm a little bit more concerned about. One other thing I do like about this small case size though, as you can see, it's not very much bigger than your average smartphone. Now there are some notably missing parts of this kit, mainly being a lapel microphone. In every other wireless kit I've tried, and most recently that was the budget Beachon WXM22, that included a lapel. And while I realize a lot of people who get these more premium and expensive wireless kits like this, there's a good chance that they already have a lapel microphone that they like to use or have in mind that they'll be purchasing for their transmitters. But on the other hand, I'm sure there are also people who are buying these wireless kits and they just want everything out of the box to record audio the way they want without the need to purchase anything else. But perhaps to me, a more important omission, and this was the case with the first gen as well, is that the transmitters do not have any kind of screen on them. Other systems I've used, even that budget $99 Beatron, it had a screen on it which showed me my battery life, my signal strength, as well as the audio levels. Those are all great things to be able to look at and just see at a glance without having to walk over to your receiver. In a lot of situations similar to this where it's a one-man crew and I'm just filming myself, the receiver is on the camera, and to see my audio levels reliably, I don't want to have to walk over to the camera each time and get out of frame and have to reset up. Somewhat similar to that as well, if you look around the sides of the transmitter, you'll notice there's only the one button, and that just powers it on. You don't actually have the ability to change your levels on the transmitter themselves. And so if you want to make any of those quick changes, you really can't. You have to go back to the receiver itself to do so. Aside from those omissions, Rode actually does a very good job in the aftermarket scene with their first-party accessories that you can buy to expand this kit or make it a little bit more fine-tuned to the way you want to shoot. I personally got the USB-C to Lightning cable, as it allows me to easily record audio into my iPhone 11, and it works so well. It's just plug and play. It was instantly recognized, and I was able to get the audio recording out of these transmitters into the phone with no issues. This might be the ultimate mobile audio recording experience that you can get right now. I am recording
I wonder if you can still hear
both sources of audio, myself and Mia.
Talking.
Say hi, Mia. Say hi.
Hi.
So she's talking, but I can't actually hear her, but the audio recording is actually going to be very good on her because it's directly on her.
I wonder what the range is.
She's however many feet away from me. Also took a quick look at their MagClip Go on their site, and that looked pretty cool. It looks like a more convenient way to attach your transmitters to your talent in kind of a more discreet way that's not limited to just clipping them. In my previous review of the Beatron WXM $99 kit, I found that it was probably a very decent and good starter choice for a lot of people, especially if they're on tighter budgets. But there were some corners cut with that prevented it from being the best choice if you're trying to get the absolute best quality out of it. At their core, these two systems look pretty similar. They're roughly about the same size and they achieve the same task of transmitting audio wirelessly. These tools are both targeted towards content creators who want to record audio without being constrained to cables. Aside from the fact that the Rode system actually includes two transmitters instead of just the one in the Beatron, it's also just far more reliable, easy to use, and has all these additional features that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that definitely adds to the value of this kit. But beyond that, when it actually comes to the sound quality itself, especially over that wireless transmission, this just blows it out of the water because that Beatron system just had this low hissing sound that was just persistent in all my recordings and was especially noticeable in situations like this where I'm recording indoors and you're just focusing on my voice. But in quieter spots, especially if you're listening for it, it's there. And you couldn't really get rid of it unless you put it into post. But of course, that's an extra step and usually results in degraded audio quality that you typically want to avoid if possible. And so with that second transmitter, you of course have the option to either mic up a second talent or completely different audio source, or sometimes, and usually in my case, because I'm usually a one-man crew and just filming videos like these of myself, you can have this recording a backup track or from a different location but of the same source, so you can play and switch between those tracks if necessary. Other things that make this stand out is this very impressive 200 meters range. The Beatron is only 50 meters. I found in my previous test that to be more than enough for most practical uses, but in the extreme range test that you'll see here. So for this next part here, we're at a big train station with a large parking lot, and I'm basically gonna be riding the one wheel all around that building there. And meanwhile, Mia is going to be recording on the Sony a7S III where the Rode receiver is feeding into its audio. All right, here we go. So let's see. What kind of conversation can I have with you? Let's talk about this Australian-made microphone and what I like about it so far. Well, the fact that I can
easily record audio in so many ways and have the peace of mind of knowing that even if, one, it drops out in signal, it's still going to be recording to the receiver or via the transmitter itself. Anyways, because we're syncing it via the Sony a7S III, it'll be easy for me on the camera, actually in the edit too, to know when it came back and when it cut out. I also want to go around this corner here to see how much obstruction it it notices. So let's just go around here really quick. Record myself talking, on the phone giving me live updates. You can't record video simultaneously while on a phone call.
And so in that range test, you should get the idea that 200 meters is more than enough. Something to note though, with that very impressive range, it of course is very reliant on line of sight. All the way up until 200, so long as I was actually facing the receiver roughly and I didn't have my back turned to it, it sounded great and the audio quality, signal, all that was good. However, as soon as I started to turn my back, even at shorter distances, like at about 40 to 50 meters, that's where it would quickly cut out. But aside from that one downside, going back to an earlier point, the actual audio transmitted wirelessly sounds very good, and I'm not noticing any kind of interference like I mentioned. This just works. Even when it doesn't have signal, I could just turn on the receiver and the transmitter. I have it set up via that Rode Central app that I'll get to in just a bit, where it is set to record audio automatically as soon as they're paired. So I could go to 200 meters, 300, 400, 500 meters, and I'm still going to be recording the highest quality audio out of it, and I'm not going to be limited to signal interference or distance or anything like that because it's recorded internally to its memory. The Rode Central app also introduces a couple other very handy features too. When you plug these into your computer, connect them up, update their firmware, you have the option to add some other cool things. The first thing I did was switch to the 10-step gain control as opposed to the default 3-step. This just gives you a little bit more precision and control when you want to fine-tune your audio levels. Another great feature, especially if you have highly fluctuating audio levels, is the ability to record a safety channel at -20 dB. So if your audio levels are all over the place and you're very concerned that you might be clipping from very loud parts, having that -20 dB safety clip also recorded is a very cool feature. The thing to keep in mind, however, if you have that enabled, is if you're recording from two transmitters, you're not going to be able to have one mono channel for each of them to keep them separate. And on the topic of the internal recording, I'm going to keep mentioning this because again, I think this is truly one of the best selling features of this whole system. The fact that it auto records has been a game changer for me and has saved my butt in a lot of situations. What I've been doing in the past, and this is why I'm saying it's going to be replacing a couple pieces of my past kit, is I've been using the Zoom H1N, which of course is more designed for recording high quality audio on the go. But the one thing that always got me hung up with this, especially when I was recording video with it and recording into the a7S III, I'd hit record on the camera and I'd have this lit up and all I had to do was hit record on here too. But I would always forget to hit record there. It would just not register with me until I've recorded a whole video like this for an hour, only to realize no audio. Even if it's not getting a signal, even if it's not plugged into my Sony a7S III, my audio files are still going to be recorded regardless. You have the ability to record 7 hours of uncompressed audio internally or up to 40+ hours of uncompressed audio, which is ridiculous. And so if you're offloading your saved files at the end of the day, 7 hours and of course 40 hours is more than enough for an entire day's shoot. Do keep in mind though, if you forget to offload your files and it's completely full, it's designed to start recording over your oldest files first to make room for your new ones. But on that topic of recording limits and how much space is left, this would have been another great opportunity for them to have a display here and actually show you how much space is left on it, as opposed to me having to actually plug into my PC every single time I want to know what my status is with this. With that, that's going to bring me nicely into the Rode Central app again. Many of the features, as I mentioned, are reliant on that Rode Central app. So it's great that you have an app that allows you to tweak those settings as well as enable certain modes. What would have been better though, in my opinion, is somehow to either have a companion app for your smartphones that either I can plug into, or if there was like a Bluetooth connection that would allow me to pair to them, to make those changes on the go, because again, this is the Rode Wireless Go. And so compared to every other wireless audio system that I've tested out, the Beatron, as well as the Comica, as well as a few others, this so far has been the most convenient, easy to use, as well as the most versatile setup that I've added to my kit. And that's the reason why it's going to be replacing those and actually replacing my Zoom H1N, because as far as my main kit for recording these kinds of videos, I don't need that anymore. In my opinion, the most important thing when recording content is not so much the quality or the features that they have. They could throw a huge spec sheet at me. The most important thing for me is, can I quickly and confidently record audio without having to constantly fear, oh, is this recording? Oh, do I have a good signal? Or is it picking up any other weird interference that when I get into post, then I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I have to record the whole video again. Thankfully with the system, I don't have those issues. And so if you want that confidence, reliability, and convenience, this is a very good choice, and I think you should check it out. If you'd like to learn more about this system or have any questions about how I use it in my kit, you can feel free to ask them in the comments down below, or you can reach out to me via social media for more specific follow-ups. Thanks again for checking out this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.